In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God,
and the world was God.
He existed in the beginning with God. God created everything through him,
and nothing was created except through him.
The Word gave life to everything that was created, and his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness,
and the darkness can never extinguish it.
The one who was the true light, who gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He came into the very world he created.
But the world did not recognize him. But to all that believed in him and accepted him, he gave the right to become children of God.
So the Word became human and made his home among us.
He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son, Jesus.
House where the Pixies eagerly anticipate the arrival of Christmas Day, the glow of light fills every corner, and richly colored baubles hang from the lightly flocked limbs of our newish tree. We have always been staunch live Christmas tree advocates, but this year has been a bit different in more than one way. An illness swept through the house at the start of December and slowed down everything, which set back our decorating for the season by a week or so. But while everyone else recovered, the two of us who had not been hit by the plague did a bit of holiday thrifting, during which we ran across a very large artificial tree which had been deemed unsellable due to its being broken. As you might have guessed, immediately I offered to rehome the poor dear, thinking she had the potential to be used in displays of festive greenery if dismantled. The store was only too glad to have us escort the seamy-looking pile of branches away, and off we went with questionable tree in tow. After an attempt to reconstruct the tree revealed that the only thing wrong with it was a broken tree stand, the warrior Pixie and I got to work creating a faux zinc planter-style stand for our rehabilitated tree from an otherwise dated side table and a few scavenged pieces of hardware. And once she stood straight up, and very tall, in the middle of our front room, we flocked her limbs with a powdering of snow and wrapped her in white lights. Despite all of us not normally being the least inclined to break any tradition, when God drops a giant tree in your lap for free, it seems impolite and impractical not to make good use of it, and so we did. And with the tree now happily in place, we began to welcome the season in earnest by decorating every inch of the little house to the happy strains of Buble and Bing, Perry Como and Nat King Cole, Rosemary Clooney, Doris Day, and Ella Fitzgerald, among many other classic Christmas crooners who were making up the soundtrack behind our Christmas preparations. Each year feels a little different from the last, and old cherished decor, along with stored totes of greenery, lights, baubles, bows, and more, are reimagined from year to year, taking on new forms which correspond with the feel and vision of each particular Christmas season. This year felt rather old world, a bit Victorian and Edwardian, with hints of moodiness contrasted against the glowing lights. Rich velvet ribbon in deeply saturated colors, satin ribbons in pale vintage hues, brass bells and sparkling baubles, pewter, copper, aged silver pots and trays, all filled with winter florals. Collections of vintage Santas, curated over decades, are tucked on shelves beneath lit garlands, and above it all, a small glowing village winds over the tops of the shelving. Taking a page from my grandmother's book, clear hurricanes and milk glass hold a collection of colorful glass bulbs, and silver pedestal candy dishes become candle holders. Artwork, of which there is no shortage, is sorted and rearranged until it feels just right. The mantel is dressed with boughs of pine of differing textures and punctuated with clusters of brightly colored berries, twinkling white lights, and draped brass bells, which were once silver-colored bells who had a change of heart and went in for a makeover in antique brass and gold. It's a wonder the change that can be brought with a can or two of spray paint. With the house reflecting the glow of Christmas over us all, we turned our focus to whipping up a few delicious gifts. Homemade marshmallows are a particular favorite, alongside gluten-free Santa Crinkle cookies, chocolate peanut clusters, and homemade cocoa, and some hand-blended teas, all free of artificial colors and preservatives.
Whoa, oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh. La, da, da, da. Making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new. 'Cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh, la da da da, oh, 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 la da da da, oh, oh, la da da da. Making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles in the tree, and I've lit my house with Christmas lights. So you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh, la da da da, oh, 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 la da da da. Making our Christmas memories. Yes, these are the good times with you. Don't even care what we do if I spend it with you. Just you and nobody else. It's so good to see you again, to see you again. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. And I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.
The dark-haired Pixie whipped up a batch of her homemade eggnog. and the warrior pixie created French butter cookies for the exhausted elves who had been filming and creating until they were ready to drop. And I brought out my attempt at a truly authentic eggnog, which had been aging over the past year and was a supposed replica of George Washington's recipe. The year of aging has given it a smooth, well-blended flavor. However, unlike George and his historic companions, who were undoubtedly very merry at Christmas time, I can only handle about a tablespoon, added to a glass of pixelated nogg. I enjoy being conscious for Christmas festivities, and I have my doubts concerning whether our esteemed forefather remembered any of his Christmases, or perhaps he was just as bad at being specific and accurate in his recipes as I. So when his old friend Thomas petitioned him for his nogg formula, he just scribbled it down from memory. Either way, everyone was decidedly merry and relaxed, if not compos mentis. And with the amounts given to make the potent nogg, I will need to be very proactive with facilitating new friendships with nogg-loving individuals if I ever hope to be rid of it. At the end of the day, family traditions mingle with new ideas and activities and are wrapped in the glow of light, and it all becomes precious memories, tucked away in the corners of our hearts to be reflected on during the dark winter days. On a shelf in the center of our home sits a dilapidated, once leather-bound family Bible whose opening pages record generations of my family's births, unions, and deaths, initiating in the 18th century and written first in quill and ink. Names, dates, and sometimes commentary, all scratched across the delicate paper in airy flourishes, and transitioning over the years into careful, sturdy letters, notated with a modern pen. Threads woven over centuries, and a visible reminder of the connections we have to one another. And isn't it just these connections that it's all about? Christmas, some would argue, is too heavily commercialized now. It has become all about receiving presents, a brightly berobed jolly old elf and his impossibly aeronautical deer flinting from rooftop to rooftop in a single night, or an opportunity for Hallmark to make its entire annual revenue in a single month. But I would respectfully disagree. As a particularly chartreuse reformed old sinner once pondered aloud, maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. As for the pixies, they adore giving gifts, and they start quite early in an attempt to find or create just the perfect little thing that will touch their fortunate recipient's heart. And when we ask for their Christmas wish list, they can never really give me a ready answer, but they are quick to tell me what each of the others would like. I think that Christmas is a reminder to reflect the light that broke the darkness that single long-ago night when hope came into the world clothed in humanity and filled with unfailing love. And it gives us the time to turn our focus outward away from ourselves and really see others, and if we are able in some way, to even be a blessing to those around us. In the end, how we choose to define Christmas is a direct reflection of the focus of our hearts. But thankfully, it's also an opportunity to repair a weary heart and to renew it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with receiving gifts, with sparkling baubles and packages wrapped up in pretty paper and ribbon. There's nothing bad about Hallmark movies, except maybe their mostly singular plot, and I have a particular fondness for Father Christmas and the pattering of hoofs across rooftops myself. It's just simply not the whole story. Unfailing love is the reason for the entire season, a love so vast that it filled every murky corner of the world with its light, and the darkness could not overcome it, as the darkness is simply the absence of light and has no properties of its own. This Christmas, we pray that love comes in like a flood, drenching your soul and healing everything it touches, that hope rises up in your spirit and spills out over all those around you, and that joy will rise up in your heart that can never be fully contained. Merry Christmas to everyone, and to everyone, a very happy New Year, from all of us in the little house to you.
Merry Christmas, everyone!